everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Trinaya. Today I'm going to be doing a reading wrap up of February and March. So I did not do one, so this is going to be chaotic. It's going to be all over the place, but I'm going to let you guys know what's month to month. We're going to get into it, okay? Firstly, Magnolia Parts into the Dark. Duh. I rated this book 6 stars. I absolutely love this book so much. This is the end of an era of BJ Magnolia. I love their story so much. I love them as characters, and they just hit. This book, I can't say a single thing without spoiling anything, but just know Just a Hastings keeps us fed. If you think this book had any lows in it, you didn't read it, because this book was insane. Insane. I loved it. 6-star read. I also, of course, had to read X's and O's by Amy Leah. This is the author of Set on You, but this is like the influencer series that I didn't even know was a series. Like, I just always saw this book and it was like, February, have to read this during Valentine's Day. So I read it around that week, and it was just, the vibes was amazing. This is with Tara, and basically she had to move into this apartment. I think it's her friend's, what is it, fiance's, and it was like a guy that's like a firefighter, Trevor, and they just kind of, you know, are like friends for a little bit. And she just compiles this list of all her exes because the person that she was dating dumped her after years, and she's like, you know what, let me go back to my exes and let me see if there's anything there. Maybe I can rekindle something from there. So I loved it. I love a good reuse, reduce, recycle. Also, she's an influencer. She's a book influencer. So I just loved it all because I'm like, girl, I love it. I do it too. So yeah, I gave this book a 4-star. Yeah, it was just fun, simple, and I really enjoyed it. I also read King of Greed by Anna Hong. This is the third in the King of Sin series. I really liked it. This is with Dominic and Alexandra. I really like it. Basically, Dominic is like a workaholic, and Alexandra is tired of it. And he had this one chance to prove himself with their wedding anniversary, and she's like, do not miss this. Whatever you do, do not miss this. And he ended up being late, and she was like, you know what? I'm filing for divorce. So she just wasn't a priority to him. And then while reading it, you just know in her heart, like, the love is there, you know, and they like both still love each other. It's not like neglectful, like intentional, but he just genuinely, he came from nothing, and he just really trying to prove himself. And she's just like, she came from money, so she's just like, I don't really need money, but for him it's his self-worth that he associates with working. So, and like the money and the power and all of that. So King of Greed, hence, and I really enjoyed this one, and I give it a 4.5 stars. Then I had to read Bam! If He Had Been With Me by Lauren Allen. Of course I had to do a reread because the new book was coming out this month. Well, February. And yeah, obviously a 5-star read. Once again, I love this book so much. So much. I actually, fun fact, finished this book like an hour before the second book arrived at my house, which was crazy. If Only I Had Told Her by Lauren Allen. This is a sequel to it. This basically had Finney's POV, Autumn, and then Finney's best friend Jack's POV. I literally bawled my eyes out reading Jack's POV. I bawled. It kind of answers some of our questions. We kind of got Finney's side and like what he was thinking during these years and of what he thought of Autumn. We kind of revisited some moments that happened in the first book, but from Finney's point of view, because we kind of heard like it was conversations happening, but like we just didn't know what they were saying. So we kind of got that. We kind of got how like relationships were, you know, and how they formed from Finney's POV. So I liked the book. I did give it a 5 just to associate it with this first book, but like on its own, I would give it like a 4.25 on its own as a book. Also, I just have so much love and respect for these characters and like the book and the story of it all. But like for just this book on its own, 4.25. But I loved everything about this series. Lauren Allen, you did it again. You made me bawl my eyes out in this one. Like, I bawled my eyes out. I loved it. Then I reread A Touch of Ruin by Sarah St. Clair. I ate this book up. I love this one. I think this was my favorite out of the 3. I haven't read A Fate. Like, no. Is it called A Fate or a Game? A Game of, and that's Hades. This is basically Hades Persani, loose retelling of it. This is of Persani's POV, and then Hades has his own POV. I haven't read his. Only read these 3. I haven't read the new one that came out, but I like this one the most. This is so much going on. They finally are together, you know, it's kind of getting into the media. But in this one, you kind of just see, like, it's so much miscommunication. And that's why I love it. I love toxicity. Like, I love a good romance like that. And this has it. So if you don't like that, this probably not be the series for you. But I personally really enjoy it because I just love toxic. You know, like, I like miscommunications and you just jealousy. And it really did its thing. Like, if you like jealousy, who did this to you? This is the blurb in the back. Are you saying you wouldn't fight for me? That's Impersonate. And then this is Hades. Hades sighed and brushed his finger along her cheek. Darling, I would burn this world for you. That's actually what made me even buy the series. I was on Amazon one day and I just saw Hades and Impersonate and I saw this. And it made me look, and then had a series and I just read the entire, y'all, what a time the summer has been. I just did a reread because I wanted to. And like this, I love this one. I love this one. And yeah, and I give this one a 4.5 stars. I really like this one. Like, this one is really good to me. So, yeah. Then I read Ghosted by J.M. Dahlhauer. This is a second chance romance. So, for all the people who don't like it, sorry. This one's so good. This was Kennedy and Johnny. And basically, they're like childhood sweethearts. You get like 3 different POVs. You get Johnny's, you get Kennedy's, and then you get... Oh, sorry. And then you get the past timeline. It's so cute. You get, like, you see, like, these little, writing, like, a journal. Because it's, like, wrote in a journal. The past of, like, in Kennedy's little journal. Is so cute. I love this book with my entire heart. This was an unexpected book. I, like, saw people, like, rave it and love it. So, I didn't really expect a higher rating from this book, to be honest. And I rated this a 6-star read. I think this book had nothing wrong with it. It was solid. It was good. I love the romance in it. I love like the plot twist. I love the plot of it. I loved everything about it. So it was a solid 6-star read. I will probably read this this year. It's so good. It's so good. It gives me that cozy vibe. It gives me that familiarity, which it's just, it's so good. It's so good. It's a little girl in it. So if you guys like the kids in it, it's so good. Basically Kennedy and Johnny share a kid together. But Johnny like kind of struggles with like substance abuse and all that. And so Kennedy doesn't let him ever be around the kid, and the kid doesn't know that Johnny is her father. And he's like this very popular actor of like this superhero. What is it called? XOXO? Alaska? I don't know what the superhero name, I don't know what the superhero name is. I forgot. But yeah, and so she sees him everywhere. The kid like loves the actor, but I mean, the superhero that he plays. So Kenny always has to see him around basically. But he kind of try and come back into the life and wants to know the kid. And so Kenny's trying to give him a chance, and just takes that from there. It's so good. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. I love this book so much. Ghosted by J.M. Dahlhauer. That's all I gotta say. I loved it. I also read Hopeless, and I read Reckless by Elsie Silver. Reckless is the 4th book. This is with Winter and Theo. I gave this book a 5-star. I did not expect to love it as much as I did, but I love this book. This is like unexpected pregnancy, secret baby trope. I don't even know what the trope is called. Just read it. It's so good. It's so good. It's kind of like a little age gap, not that many years. And Winter's a little older, so love that. It's so good. She kind of like tells Theo, hey, I'm pregnant. Like, they have a one-night stand, and she's like, hey, I'm pregnant. And then he kind of gives like this weird, rude response, and she's like, okay, forget you if you don't be a part of this. Like, I'm keeping the kid. And Theo comes around, and she's just like, it's miscommunication, by the way, like from that basically. And she kind of just like write him off, and then he's like, you had a kid, and he's trying to do the timeline in his head and all that, and he kind of just steps up, and it's really good. It's really good. Look at the boo. Oh, I love this book so much. And then Hopeless, this is the last book in it. I personally thought this book was gonna be a 5-star read, like the first 200 pages or 250. I thought this was like, I thought this was fun. Like, the vibes were there. It was so good. I understand why everybody didn't love it. I would give this book a 4-star. because I couldn't even really finish it, to be honest. Is that DNF? I don't really know. Like 30 pages, does that count? I don't really know. Do I care to go back? Obviously not. It's April and I have still yet to touch this book. I don't really care about it nor think of it. This is with Bo and Bailey. I thought this was so good. Basically, Bailey and her family, nobody really respects them and doesn't give her a chance. Like, they just write her off as like a scum, basically, so she can only like bartend. But she has these really big aspirations and goals. And so, what's his name? Bo, he is like an Eaton. Everybody loves the Eatons. And she's like, you won't get it, da 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 da. She gets rude, like she gets treated so rudely. And it's like, she shows different instances, she tells it also. It's good, I want to say, but like the third act breakup, I finally understood why you guys don't like the third act breakup. And like, I read this book and I was like, are you kidding me right now? You're mad because of what? Like, I couldn't stand with her. I could not stand behind her, the delusion. I could not. The breakup in this was like, what does that even mean? So I didn't really care for it. I didn't really like it. So 4 stars. But yeah, I love the beginning of this book. I ate it up. Everything that I read in February. So now we're gonna jump into March. Basically towards like the end of February going into March. I finished this March 1st, basically. So kind of the beginning bridge of it. And this is 1,000 Boy Kisses by Silly Cole. I finally read it, guys, and I gave this book a 6 stars. I had this like January of 2022 and I finally read it, and I agree with you guys. Like, this made me bawl my eyes out at 3 a.m. I was crying heavily. I enjoyed this book so much. Like, this book was it. I understand why this is the OG TikTok book, because it deserves everything. This follows Rune and Poppy, and basically they were like best friends from the start, and then they were just in love with each other from the very beginning. And Rune had to move away, and so they were like, okay, we're gonna communicate with each other now. So they did, but then abruptly Poppy stopped, and then Rune came back, and he was so angry at Poppy, like, why did you stop talking to me? And then you find out why, and you go on from there. And that's all I'm going to say. And just read it. It's so good. If you haven't read it, read it. If you did, give it a reread. It's so good. Take me back. I wish I could reread this book again for the first time. That's how good it was. So I was like, what book do I even go from that had the same vibe, but that can kind of transition me into, so I can read another book after. And so I went into Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'm trying to read all her books I already had. So I kind of already had this book. And I always wanted to read it. And I love her premise of all her books. It's so good. This is basically with Elsie and Ben. They basically meet and then start dating and then elope in 6 months. And it's kind of like a fast pace, but their love is really heavily deep. Like, you really feel their love with each other. And then 9 days after they eloped, Ben gets killed in a car accident, and it's really sad, honestly. And so it's like, but it's like past and present timeline. Also, like I said, they got eloped, so Elsie had to meet Ben's mom because of this, and she's like, who are you? Like, I didn't even know you got married. Like, I don't know you. So the whole new relationship you have to build and how to process and move on, and it shows grief and all that, which is crazy. Like, some of the things you never really think about gets talked in this. It's short, fast paced. It was really easy to get through. I give this book a 4.25. Then I also read Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. I really like this. This is with Clementine, and basically she's a struggling writer, and it's this book going around that's like very famous right now, and it's just, everybody's like, you have to read it. So she reads it. Well, her friend has it, but then so she reads it. And she basically realized as the beginning that this is about her life, and that the author of it is her like childhood sweetheart who wrote it. And she keeps on reading, and it's like past and present timeline basically, but the past is told in like the book form, which I think is just so cool. It's a really good story. I really like it. I love like struggles that like people go through. So like, they had like a really hard upbringing. Clementine and the boy, this Jacoby. I forgot his real name. It's like Jason now. I don't know. But yeah, and they just like come together and they like love each other from like young to older, and I really do like it. I love like that, like how Ghosted 2 where like Kennedy was like struggling, Kennedy and Johnny was struggling. I just love like that, like where they struggle but then, you know, they make it out, and like it's so good. It's so good. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below because I want to read books like that. Then we go into the Fumbled feature series. This is by Megan Brandy. First up is The Fumbled Hearts by Megan Brandy. This is with Kalani and Nate. This is a football romance. This is set in high school. I really like it. Basically, Kalani's a new girl and she comes from California, and this is like kind of small town-ish. The guy that she meets, which is Nate, he's like this cocky, confident football player. He used to get girls, but Kalani's like don't really care. He is chasing this girl. Like this girl's like, I'm good, I can have anyone, and you want me, I don't want you. And it's just so good. It's so good. Jealousy in here. I also love her friendship with Parker. It's so good. That's how best friends are supposed to be, and I just love their relationship. So good. And I gave this book a 5-star. I did not expect to love this book as much as I did, but I was eating it up. I loved everything about this book. 5 stars. Then Defenseless Hearts. This is by Megan Brandy. Also, this is the second, and this is with Parker and Kenra. And Kenra is actually Nate's older sister. And Kenra and Parker just kind of had this like little flirtations, kind of this connection from when they were freshmen. When Parker was a freshman, I don't know, but yeah, basically Kenra is like engaged to this horrible person who treats her absolutely horrible, but she's kind of stuck in the relationship. Parker just doesn't know it yet, and she's like struggling. She's trying to just do right so that way she's basically blackmailed, and she can't get out of the relationship that she's in, and she doesn't want to tell Parker to blow it up or to, you know, make things worse for her and him. Well, not even for her, but for him. And he doesn't know that. And he just wants to love her. And it's just really complicated. And yeah, now we're here. I give this book a 4. I give this book a 4. I don't think the relationship and like the love really was like kind of on the back burner. I feel like everybody else was like the plot. And like the relationship was not the main center, how everything else was. So I kind of didn't like that. But in this book, you get introduced to characters who are going to be into Say You Swear. So Say You Swear, like the whole game, found family, is in this book, by the way. So, and this is not publicized that this is a series, but these 2 books are set before this one. So if you want to read Say You Swear, read these 2 because it kind of wraps up basically like key things in this book, but I say read those because those are so good. And yeah, it's so good. Say You Swear is so good. I gave this book a 6-star. I really like this one so much. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, this one had found family, had a triangle, and I usually don't like triangles, but this one was well done where it's like both had an option, and it was just so good. I found family in here. Oh, it's set in college, football romance once again. And you guys love it. Obviously, this is rated so high. Everybody loves this book because it deserves the stars. Alrighty, guys. That's every book that I've read this past 2 months. Let me guys know what was your favorite read. Yeah, and I won't be doing the April TBR because, hello, we're already in April. And also, I feel like there's no point. I'll just be reading all new releases and just books I have. So if you guys saw my book haul, some of those books I've been already trying to read. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in my next video. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.